What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another live stream for you guys in build-up to the big game against Bournemouth this weekend at the Vitality.
It's become a big game, hasn't it?
Yeah, it is a big game. 3 points is a must tomorrow. It really is. 3 p.m. kickoff at the Vitality. How are you feeling coming into it?
I mean, you say a big game. You wouldn't normally think Bournemouth away is such a big game, would you? You think it's just whatever, just standard. But because of recent results, no win in 3 games now. 2 defeats on the trot in the Premier League. Injuries mounting.
All right. Way to make me feel good about ourselves.
I'm just saying, you know what I mean? That's why it's become such a big game. That's why it's so important we get a result. And it kind of reminds me of like when we played Watford last season on New Year's Day. It's like one of those games where you're going into expecting a win. And obviously, with the impetus is going to be on us to attack. We're going to be on top in this game. Make no illusions about that. This is definitely a game we're going to dominate possession. But is it a game where we're going to struggle for chances and struggle for and struggle to really break teams down? I think on the positive side, when you look at that element to the game, on Wednesday night was probably in the second half one of our best performances in possession, you have to say, for a long time. So that gives me encouragement that we can go into this game away at Bournemouth, a team clearly been very compact ever since Gary O'Neill's come in and very hard to beat. I think they lost the last 2, but those are the first losses under Gary O'Neill. So obviously, we go into that game as big favourites. But Wednesday, in a weird way, I know we start off the game poorly, but it gives me more encouragement that with possession, we might be able to create some chances as opposed to being a bit blunt. But it's going to be interesting to see. Does he continue with Lucas Moura? Does Brian Hill come in? Does he go back to the 3-5-2? Big question marks for Conte, and it's going to be interesting to see what the team is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, from your point of view, what would you prefer to see? Or would you prefer to see us stick with the 3-4-3 with Lucas there?
I mean,
you did say Brian Hill, didn't you, at the end of last game?
We have a big game coming up on Wednesday, massive on Wednesday in midweek against Marseille. It's a gigantic game now because of the fact that Kane's goal didn't count. We go into that game needing a result, so we have to go there full strength. So I think it means in this game, not obviously we have to play the big hitters, because there's also big games, so Kane, Son, and people like that. But I do think as well, if there's any fatigue issues, we have to rest players for Wednesday. That's just the reality. Tuesday. We have to rest them. So that means we have to give some players a chance. And if that means only Skip has a chance, if that means someone, whether it be Doherty or Sessegnon, give them an opportunity for me on the weekend. And for me, it means giving Brian Hill a chance. And I think Lucas Moura started on Tuesday. And I think maybe even... and I still either he's not 100% or he was just playing like Lucas Moura usually plays because he was really poor. And I would probably give him the nod on if we go 3-4-3 on Tuesday, even though Brian Hill was probably better. I'd still give Lucas the nod just because at the moment I trust him just a bit more. But on Saturday, I think Brian Hill should have a run. Just have a go. Give him a go. See how he does. If it's not working after an hour, take him off. But I think he's come on with boundless amounts of energy. He's a creative player. He could be more suited to that right-hand side as well. Have him up front. I don't think he's ever played apart from Wednesday night and some cameo performances with Kane and Son. I don't think he's started together with them before. So I think it's time to give him a go. Without Richarlison and Kulusevski, what can you lose, really? I think it's and he's going to give you 100%. He's not going to be a liability off the ball. So I think for me, I would give him a go and just see what he can do in this game. Because if he can create something, even if he can create a goal or score a goal or just something, that could go a long way. Because there might only be one goal in this.
And the need for rotation is probably a bit more pressing this weekend because the turnover is fairly short on Tuesday instead of Wednesday. That's 24 hours shorter than what it has been for the last game anyway. And I kind of feel like Brian Hill would be better off served coming on against tired legs, but because the turnover is so short, I kind of tend to agree with you that maybe we should give him a go at Bournemouth this weekend. But you know, with the players that they have in their defence, you know, they got big, tall centre backs, but their wing backs in Fredericks and Smith. I mean, Gill can get them, can't they? Can't he?
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, are they much? I mean, are they much more physical than the wing backs you'd come up against in La Liga? I mean, like, is Ryan Fredericks that much more physical than some of those wing backs, and Adam Smith as well? These are two wing backs who really aren't the most physical players when it comes to the Premier League. So I think if there's any opportunity to give Brian Hill a chance, I think Saturday's that time for me, and especially in this kind of game where you're playing against a Bournemouth side who you're going to have the majority of possession. He might have a few opportunities to show off some of his quality. Obviously, when it gets a bit congested in the central areas and he's asked to use his strength to hold players off, that's when he might come unstuck. But if you keep him wide and let him find the space, and then hopefully he can provide a bit of assistance to Kane and Son. I think maybe it's something that could work. I'm not saying he's the answer. Definitely not. I'd even if Lucas had a great game on Wednesday night, I would probably look to start him on Saturday. But the fact is, he didn't really do it. Gil came on and showed quite a bit, and we need to rest players for Tuesday in a massive game. So I think Conte needs to use the squad, and I would go with a 3-4-3 because I wouldn't want to, as much as clogging up the midfield might benefit us because Bournemouth like to play with 3 centre mids. I still think we can cope with the 2 in there with the quality that we have, and I think having that front three will really benefit us when we're attacking and making sure we're exploiting the space as much as possible. Which there will be limited because they're a very compact team, Bournemouth.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 3-4-3 is the way to go. Proper take the game to them. They'll be, you know, sitting in their shape, being compact, not letting us have too much spaces. So we really got to take it to them as much as we can tomorrow, and we've got the superior quality as well. So hopefully that can pay dividends. But in terms of the form of the two teams coming into the game, Bournemouth under Gary O'Neill have suffered their first 2 losses in the last 2 games without scoring a goal. Do you put that down to the quality that they've come up against, or is the honeymoon period kind of running out now?
Yeah, I mean it's run out. I think no win in their last 3. That's 1 win in their last 5. 2 draw. So 1 win in their last 5. There's 2 defeats there. Quality. West Ham away and Southampton at home. It's not like these are standard Premier League games. You know what I mean? It's not like they're playing the top 6 or even top 10. They're these are teams in the bottom half. So I don't think they can put it down to we come up against 2 good teams. I just think I always thought that as soon as they started getting a few defeats, that bubble might start to burst, and I think we're starting to see that at the moment. I don't think, but look, when it comes to Bournemouth, I think they're a very hard-working team. They're better than the sum of its parts because I think as a team, quality-wise, they're championship. Let's be honest. I know Solanke's had a decent run of late, but I just think there's a severe lack of Premier League quality there. When you're relying on players like Fredericks and Smith and Steve Cook as well in the back line. These are players who have been relegated before, who have really struggled in the Premier League before, and who I don't think are good enough to keep you in the Premier League. So I think that
doesn't Steve Cook play for Forest?
Sorry, I'm not thinking of Steve Cook. Chris Mepham. That's what I was thinking of. Steve Cook plays for Forest. Yeah. He's also been relegated before. These are players who don't have that great quality, in my opinion, to keep you in. And maybe they can get you through a few games, but in the long run, you're going to suffer. So, I think for me, Steve Cook used to play for Bournemouth. That's maybe why I got confused. I think you're going to suffer, and I think they are. I think they will start to suffer now. And I think they rallied when Scott Parker got sacked and Gary Neal came in, and they want to prove a lot of people wrong. And to be fair, they went on a 6-match unbeaten run, and for a team with Bournemouth's quality, I think that's impressive in itself. But I never thought they'd be able to keep it up. And at the moment, it seems to be true. And if we win, there'll be 3 losses in a row, and all of a sudden the results are really starting to slip. But I don't think. I still think they're even though where are they in the league? Like still mid-table.
They're about 15th.
I still think they're favourites to go down, even though they had. Look, you got to give them credit for going on that run, but I just can't see them keeping it up. Like, because where's the quality coming from? Apart from that, like once that hard work You know, once you start to get found out, it's only so hard you can work before that quality starts to show, because other teams are going to match your hard work at some point. And I think we're starting to see that.
Yeah, I tend to agree as well. I mean, we both put them down as like dead certs for the drop at the beginning of the season, and you know, they've had a fairly impressive. I know they've lost their manager and Scott Parker, but since he's been sacked, they've had a fairly impressive run. But it does seem like they're being found out a bit now with 2 losses and no goals scored on the bounce. In terms of our head-to-head against Bournemouth, obviously we haven't played them since 2020, but it was a draw 0-0 at home. I mean, we've got a fairly good record against them. We did lose that one time. Was that when Sonny got sent off?
We drew 0-0 at home to them. Don't remember that.
Maybe it's wrong.
I'm trying to remember. July. I think it might have been away. I think during lockdown.
What was the game when Sonny got sent off?
No, that was like 2019.
That was a 1-0 loss, was it?
Yeah, that was a 1-0 loss. I think that game was away. I think there was a 0-0 draw there. I think because I remember it, because I think Kane should have had a penalty in the first minute, and it was a dab draw. It was under Mourinho.
The fact of the matter is that having said that, then the last 2 times we've been to Bournemouth, we failed to win.
Yeah, and I remember there was one game under Pochettino, even in Pochettino's best season. In the last season of White Lane, we drew 0-0 away from home as well in that game. That was when we were at our best. So, look, I think the problem with Bournemouth is it's a very small stadium, very small pitch. They're a very compact team as well. There isn't going to be much space in the wide areas with how small with how they play and how small the pitch is. So, I can see why we struggle a bit sometimes there. But I don't think there's any excuse, because you should have the quality players the quality to play through them, and the quality to make it count. And if we don't do that, we only have ourselves to blame. And they're going to make it as difficult as possible, but the best teams find solutions. And if we can't find solutions in this game, then that simply isn't good enough. Whatever way you slice it, and as much, of course, it's going to be hard. And even if it's just a 1-0 win, that's fine. But you have to make sure you find that solution and not let this game pass you by as a game that was too difficult, because I don't think that's a good enough excuse. But yeah, it won't be easy. I can see it being literally one goal in it, and being very compact with the way Bournemouth play.
Yeah, and when you're looking at the league table, 5 points behind top of the league at the moment, and they've got Nottingham Forest at home this weekend. Does that make it even more increasingly important, this game, to win? To not fall even 8 points behind.
Well, and they'll have a game in hand on top of that. Like, you just don't want that situation to get any worse. You don't want them to start pulling away. On a positive note, their performances are definitely starting to falter, so that's good. But you would imagine that they're going to beat Forest this Sunday, and we can't allow that gap to get much bigger, especially going into the World Cup break. You want to be within touching distance with them going into that break, and then second half maybe things can turn more positively in our favour. So for sure, that definitely is underlying. Obviously, if it does go to 8 points at this stage of the season, it'll be bad, but it's not the be all and end all, because there's still a long way to go. But for sure, it'll look very bad on paper. And imagine just having a whole month of like Arsenal 10 points ahead of us on the table. You just don't want that situation to happen. You know what I mean? I'd just be terrible. I wouldn't be able to enjoy the World Cup if that was the case. You know what I mean? Just have too much.
Yeah, no, absolutely. In terms of the players that we've picked out as ones to watch, we've gone for Billing and Solanke. Obviously, Solanke's a bit of a doubt coming into this game, but I think he will play. So it's a 75% chance of him playing. I mean, we haven't seen the press conference or got any team news exactly.
Conte's doing his one now.
Yeah, but in terms of Gary O'Neill, we don't know anything about Solanke yet. But Billing, how impressive has he been this season?
I've always liked Billing. I think he's a good player, but I don't know if he's he's got a really sweet left foot. He's a strong midfielder, but I feel like tactically he's a bit he's a bit oblivious sometimes. I think he relies on his quality and his physicality too much to bail him out of situations, rather than being completely tactically set up. He's very tall. He's good in the air. He's got a rocket of a left foot. He really does. He's got so much power on that left foot. But I feel like he's a player that leaves you wanting more. He kind of is a bit frustrating at times as well. He's like a bit like John Joe Shelvey in a way. Bags the quality, but never really exploits it to the utmost. And that's maybe what's preventing him from moving up a level from Bournemouth. to someone else. And I think he used to play for Huddersfield before. I remember he was pretty good at Huddersfield. And then he moved to Bournemouth in the Premier League, but then they got relegated. So I think he's a good player, but and he's one you have to watch. But he's a bit. I think recently playing in the number 10 role, he's playing a bit like a Fellaini kind of role. You know what I mean? Get it to his chest or to his head, rely on his physical aspects to gain you advantages, and then maybe when he gets a chance to shoot outside the box, he can take it with his left peg. But I don't know whether he has the mindset to take that next leap. I think he has the quality to maybe move up a level. No, I'm not saying like top 6, but definitely like a mid-table Prem team. But whether he has the mindset for it, that's why I'm questioning. Solanke is an interesting one. Obviously, he killed it in the Championship last season. Probably his first good season in a long time, because he was very much talked up, wasn't he? Yeah. As a youngster, Chelsea. He was at Chelsea and he was at Liverpool.
Didn't he get? Wasn't there a big money?
Yeah, he moved from Liverpool to Bournemouth for big money. I think 18 million, if I remember rightly.
I mean, Liverpool did Bournemouth a couple of times, didn't they?
Yeah, for Jordan Ibe as well. So a lot has always been thought of him. Solanke. He's had. I'm pretty sure he's played quite a few under 21 level. Maybe got a few goals there. Cap. I didn't even know that. We had an England cap. When was that?
I don't know when it was. It says 2017.
Oh wow. That's incredible. But he never really did it in the Premier League on all his years up until this season. I mean, even this season, you can doubt it. But he's never really had a good run of games in the Premier League and got goals or anything like that. He's always seemed like it's not his level. And then last season, the Championship, he was brilliant. That was like his real breakout season in the Championship last season. He scored lots of goals.
Well, it was actually 2 seasons ago. 2 seasons ago, he scored 15, and then last year he scored 29. So
yes, I'm saying last season he exploded.
Last season was an explosion. Yeah. But 15 still like respectable. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So he was building his way up. Last season he like 29 goals. That's exceptional. Like you got to say that's really the sign of a striker exploding. And then he's come to the Premier League. I know it says there 2 goals and 3 assists, and on paper it's not bad. But I'm pretty sure both goals came in the same game against Forest.
Yes, but he has had injury problems this season.
Yeah. So, but 10 appearances, look, 5 goal contributions in 10 appearances, not bad. But I'm pretty sure, I even think 1 assist as well. I'm pretty sure he got 2 goals and 1 assist in that one game. So I think,
quick look.
I think he got 2 goals and 1 assist in that one game, if I remember rightly. I might be wrong. So maybe from that aspect, it's probably not as impressive.
I think that I like him as a player, and I think he did have the injury problems maybe at the start of the season, but since he's come back, I mean, he's looked fairly good, to be honest. I'm not sure about, he should be producing more goals and assists and stuff like that, but how many are you actually going to produce playing for Bournemouth? Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true, and that's something maybe that's harsh to hold against him. I think he's done it all right.
He scored against Forest and scored against Fulham.
He scored against Forest and scored against... Oh, yeah, he scored a nice goal against Fulham, to be fair. That was in the first minute. That was a nice finish. So he's got a couple of...
And in that game he scored against Fulham, he got an assist.
Okay.
And in the game he scored against Forest, he also got an assist.
Yeah, so he got a goal and assist in those 2 games. So that's not bad.
And it's like... He hasn't done it against like the Premier League teams from last season. He's done it against teams that he played against last season.
Yeah, so you could argue there, Championship. Yeah, so I think it's a bit harsh to judge him just yet. Maybe you have to wait for the season to end, see how he does overall. I think you would probably say he's been okay, but he hasn't really. Definitely hasn't hit the ground running, but he hasn't been awful either. He's been like when he's had the chance to play, he's been decent. But obviously, big things were expected having that season in the Championship last season. So I think it's wait and see. He's definitely one who's would probably be a threat if he starts. He's obviously definitely one who's good physicality and a good finisher.
Would you prefer to face someone like him or someone like Kiefer Moore, who's like really physical and that can rival Dyer in the air?
Yeah, Kiefer Moore's interesting.
Have the domination of Dyer in the air. He
hasn't really done much, has he, this season? Kiefer
no,
Moore?
I mean he's been out the team for the most part of the season. I like Kiefer Moore as a player, but I think when you're judging against him and Solanke, Solanke just has that just bit more about him than Kiefer Moore.
Yeah, definitely. Who would I rather we play against? Probably Kiefer Moore, because I think we struggle a bit more against pace than we do against physicality. I think with the 3 centre-backs in there, I think we can cope with it a bit better, rather than if there's someone with a bit of pace running in behind the likes of Dyer. I think we struggle a bit more, and that's when they've been found out a bit more. So, and also playing someone like Kiefer Moore allows you to push a bit higher up the pitch without the fear of running in behind. So I'd always rather that. But if they play someone like Kiefer Moore in the correct way, he can also be just as effective with his hold-up play and bring other people into play and things like that. So not to say Kiefer Moore is going to be easy to deal with, but I'd rather deal with him than Solanke.
I do expect Solanke will play, but we'll have to wait and see the press conference to see.
Someone says, is Kane injured? I'm worried. Why would they be saying that?
I don't think Kane's injured. But if you bring up the opposition lineup graphic, you got David Brooks, who's injured, obviously. Very sad story there. Kelly and the goalkeeper Neto, who's out, and Solanke is a doubt. In terms of that lineup there, you got Fredericks and Smith as fullbacks, both Tottenham Academy graduates, I believe.
They are.
So they'll have a bit of a point to prove. You've got Jefferson, Lerma and Cook in the middle. That's Lewis Cook.
We were linked with Lewis Cook back in the day.
Yeah. I mean, have you been impressed with Lerma this season at all?
Jefferson Lerma. I remember when he signed back. He's been at Bournemouth for a while now, because I remember he signed after the World Cup back in 2018. He had a very good World Cup for Colombia. So I think he's an okay defensive mid, but there's a reason he's been at Bournemouth all this time. I think he's okay. I don't think he's anything special. I don't think he's. I think he's one where. He's actually got I think he's got like 3 goals this season, so I think he's added a few more goals to his game potentially this season, and maybe he's becoming a bit more all-rounded, but I think he's still lacking a bit technically to really do the step up. But he's one of those who, on a good day, he can really frustrate you with his endeavour and his physicality and his aggression. Like, he gets around the pitch a lot, he makes lots of fouls, he gets in your face a lot, so he's definitely one that can be frustrating on his day, but over the long term, like over a long season, like I don't think he's anything special. He's a bit inconsistent, but he's been all right for Bournemouth, to be fair, this season. Jefferson Lerma,
yeah.
But he gets booked a lot.
Yeah,
lots of cards.
He definitely gets. He's one on the bet builders to put in every time.
100%.
But literally, but look, I think that when you're judging Spurs' performances in the league the last 2 games, I mean, it's imperative that we have a better performance, because the last 2 performances in the league have been nothing short of disgraceful.
Well, I wouldn't say the Newcastle performance was disgraceful.
Well, first half anyway.
No, Newcastle were good first half.
I mean, second half. I mean, we should have got back into that game. I mean, anyway, the Man United performance was disgraceful.
I'll say Man United.
We should have done better against Newcastle. We really should have.
Yeah, but I would say it's harsh to say it was disgraceful. But I would say the first half against Lisbon was disgraceful. You know what I mean? That was really poor. But then the second half was one of our best displays of the season, you could argue. In that second half against Lisbon, I think we were very good. So
it was a very similar game, the Lisbon game. Without the goals, maybe to the in terms of the way the performances went to the Leicester game. You know, we weren't very good in that first half against Leicester, and then we came out second half, brought Sonny on, and completely smashed them. But we got the goals in that game.
Yeah. So we know what Bournemouth are going to do. They're going to be very compact. They're going to try and stop us playing football, and it's going to be very difficult. And I think we're going to have to be patient in this game. There are going to be periods where we're playing it sideways and stuff like that, and I can see fans getting frustrated and stuff like that. But we have to stick with the team, and we have to know that if we can once we find that goal, and then Bournemouth might start to open up a bit, and then we can really exploit them. But as long as the game's 0-0. The worst thing we can do is concede an early goal or concede a goal at any point, really, because that really, first of all, not only does it entrench Bournemouth in their compactness, it will give them belief and it will give them something to hang on to. As long as the game's 0-0 and there's a chance for them to go and win the game or something, it will be a tiny bit more open than if it's 1-0 to them. All of a sudden, it's batten down the hatches and park the bus. So. We just got to make sure no sloppy goals, no unnecessary set pieces we give away. All these kind of things matter. Make sure you take control of the game. And if we do that, I believe we'll have the quality to win. But it's going to be, I reckon it's possible that at times it's going to be quite a frustrating game for us. But we just have to be patient.
I mean, that's why I might prefer to face a Solanke over a Kiefer Moore, just because from set pieces they'll be that much more dangerous, because he is a threat no matter what anyone says about him as a player. He is a massive threat from set pieces.
I agree with that, but if we play how I want to play, and that is throwing a bit more, like we did in the second half against Sporting. We actually threw some caution to the wind. We actually were on the halfway line. We weren't so deep. We were pressing high, suffocating Bournemouth. Exactly, they're going to be a lot more dangerous on the break if they have Solanke than they have Kiefer Moore. If they have Kiefer Moore, even if he does get in behind, you know that we probably have the defenders to recover that situation. If it's Solanke, there's a chance he might get away, and that would be a problem.
Although, on the break, maybe Kiefer Moore's hold up play and bringing others into play might be beneficial for them.
Yeah, but Solanke also has decent hold up play. That's the thing.
Fair.
So I don't know. Just for me, I'd rather face Kiefer Moore than Solanke. But for sure, Kiefer Moore provides his own set of threats, and it's always give and take. But I really hope we perform. We start the game like we did against Lisbon in the second half. We suffocate them, making sure that every time that they go to clear, we're the ones first to that ball. We're not allowing them to break up play or hold the ball or anything like that. We're just penning them in and make it a matter of time before we score. And in a perfect world, we do get the lead in the first half, and then second half we can manage the game and with a view to Tuesday, because it's a quick turnaround. History states it's probably not going to be that way, and it's probably going to be like go 0-0 to the last minute, and we'll try and be finding a goal then, and knowing us. But hopefully, in an ideal world, we get a goal or two early in the first half, and then we can manage the game in the second half, and that would be ideal. With and maybe even a chance to rest one of Kane or Son, that would be really ideal. But I feel like I might be asking for too much.
Look, at the end of the day, just get 3 points by hook or crook. It doesn't matter which way it comes tomorrow. Just get those 3 points, and that's the way it's got to be probably until the international break, with the injuries building up and stuff like that. But in terms of Højbjerg and Romero and players that might be suffering from fatigue, do you stick them in for this game? Because obviously Romero and Højbjerg have come out the team for fatigue in recent weeks. And but they had a very important game.
I get that they've had a game break now, so surely that should have helped them. And if they came back into the game, and I thought they played very well on Wednesday.
They can't be the only ones on the brink of it.
That's what I'm worried about, and not necessarily just them. It's Bentancur's played every game, hasn't he? He hasn't missed a game. Kane and Son. They've played. I mean, Son had half a game break against Leicester, but he's pretty much played every game. Dyer, 100%. He's played every game. So these are more things to worry about. Are they going to pull up? It's not even necessarily are they fit for the game. It's even if they are fit for the game and they're ready to play, are they going to pull up at any point in the game and then get ruled out for Tuesday? These are big decisions. Obviously, it's up to the club doctors and Conte to decide how. And I'm happy that I know we lost the game against Newcastle, and obviously I'm not happy about that. But I'm happy that Conte saw that they were suffering from fatigue, not even necessarily injuries, but they were suffering from muscle fatigue and had a risk of, if they were playing, they could get injured, and he decided not to even involve them and trust our squad. And I know obviously we didn't get the win and we didn't get the result we wanted, but I think in the long run that will help us, because we need to start trusting the rest of our squad, and we need to and hopefully that will lead to maybe later on we'll have more players available to us, and it'll help. And we have to help manage the squad. We can't keep relying on the same players all the time and expect them to stay fit, and not only stay fit but stay at their sharpest as well. That's a big problem. So I'm happy that he took that decision, and that gives me confidence that anyone who starts against Bournemouth is going to be fit enough to play.
So how do you see the game going, and what is your score prediction?
I think it's going to be close, man. I really do. I think it's going to be just a tough away game where the crowd are going to be on their side. It's a big game, a top 6 team going to away to Bournemouth, so the crowd are going to be up for it. It's going to be very compact. They're obviously on the back of 2 defeats in a row, so they don't want that to continue. So I think they're going to be really compact. They're going to try and stop us playing, and it's going to be the onus going to be on us. I can see us. I can see the game. How I see the game going is I think we're going to come out flying. I think we're going to come flying out the traps, and it's whether we get a goal in that period or not. If we don't get a goal in that period, I can see it being a bit frustrating, and we have to bide our time and be a bit patient, and try and open them up. If we do get a goal in that period, then I think we can manage the game a lot better, and then we might be able to get a second or a third, maybe in the second half. But if not, if we don't get a goal in that period early in the game, I think I can see it. I'm still hoping we'll have the quality to win, so I'm just going to go with a 1-0. I think we should have enough to keep a clean sheet and stop them from creating chances with the way we play. But it's whether we have enough quality to open them up in the congested areas. It might be a case, again, I've looked at their average positions of the last 2 games. They're so narrow. There was even against West Ham, there was not one player on the left-hand side. It was the left-hand side was completely free. Everyone was tucked in. So the wide areas is where we're going to hurt them. But unfortunately, with a small pitch, the wide areas is going to be a bit limited. So we're going to have to try and exploit it as best we can. But we need the wide players to step up.
Yeah, maybe, that average position, if they keep that average position that they had at West Ham, because they're all bunched in the middle of the park, will that play into our hands? That surely should. It should,
yeah. Because it'll leave the space there. But then again, we need the quality we need the players to show the quality. And I don't know what he'll play. Will he play Doherty? Will he play Emerson? If we play Emerson, I'd
love to see a Spence in this game.
Because if you remember, I remember Watford away last year. Obviously, they were bottom of the league at the time, and we were big favourites. And we went there. They were very compact. They left us with the wide areas, and we pretty much just gave it to Emerson every time. He was free every time, and he didn't put one good cross in the whole game. Yeah. And that's what I'm worried about, stuff like that happening.
I'd love to see Spence in this game because it's opposition that he's used to facing. Teams up from the Championship, obviously got right back of the Championship last year. I know Conte probably won't go for him, but I think it's a really good opportunity to try him this weekend.
I would love it. I would absolutely love it if he went with Spence, but
we know it's not going to happen.
It's probably not going to happen. But I mean, why not? Give him a run. Give him a run. Give him a game. Just give him a game. What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work and you take him off and bring on Doherty. I mean, that's literally the worst case scenario. So, I mean, I would give him a go, but Conte doesn't seem to trust him. And maybe he'll surprise us. You never know. Maybe he'll surprise us.
And between Emerson and Doherty, if it is between those two, which most likely it is, I mean, surely you'd rather go Doherty 100%. This weekend,
especially
right?
How I envisaged the setup of Bournemouth. 100% I'd go Doherty because I think there'll be lots of opportunity for him to get forward and get in the box. And also maybe with some clever passing and stuff out wide, we can start opening them up. When it's Emerson, obviously he has the physicality to exploit that right hand side, but he doesn't have the quality. So that's always my frustration with him. And I just envisage Emerson playing and him putting cross after cross after cross, and he's just headed away and not reaching anyone, and then by the hour mark we'll probably have to take him off anyway. So I want Doherty to start.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame Kulusevski's probably not going to be fit because he could have even been a good option there, to really try and press the issue. But we'll have to wait and see of Conte's press conference, but it's highly unlikely.
Yeah, I'd even consider Lucas at wing back and Gil in the number 10 if to really force it.
There's no options, literally no options to change things if things aren't going right, though.
I still think you can bring Doherty on, because I still think he can offer something on the right hand side coming forward. So if you really want to force the issue early on, I would consider that, because that can really put Bournemouth under pressure early on. But knowing Conte, he'll start with Doherty and put Lucas there if it's not working. That's what he'd rather do.
In terms of my prediction, I'm banking on us to get that early goal. I think we're going to come out the traps fast, especially after that second half performance last week, a few days ago. It should really give us some sort of confidence because, Lisbon have been going pretty well in the Champions League group, and Bournemouth don't have anywhere near as much quality as they do. I know we were playing at home, but we just got to stamp our authority in the game, come out like we're the superior team with confidence, and just go at them from minute one. And if we can get that opening goal, I'm hoping that we can just go on and, like you say, manage the game. And I'm going to predict 2-0 win to Spurs. I said 1-0 and predict the Prem, but now I'm thinking about it. If we can't get that early goal, then it'll give us the opportunity to get that second goal and really seal off that game. So
yeah, 100%.
I'm going 2-0. My brother's going 1-0. I want to know your predictions in the comment section below. We are going to go to BetMate, obviously the really fun fantasy gaming app. And we've got a free pot for you guys this weekend.
Free, come on.
Absolutely free to play. And it is £50 guaranteed payout. So if you want to join in for absolutely no cost at all, then come and join us. All you have to do is download the app, press the button that says join league, and the code is WATTV. So it, like I said, completely free. And the way it works is you pick a 7-a-side team, and you can only pick, well, you can pick 6 players for Tottenham, or 6 players for any one team. So that
Bournemouth, if you want, if you're a bit
exactly, and that leaves you with 1 player that you can pick on the opposition team. And let's go and have a look at my team. So I've gone with Hugo Lloris in goal. I'm banking on him to get a clean sheet. Hopefully he doesn't have to make too many saves, to be honest. But in defence, I've gone for Ryan Sessegnon and Clement Longley. I'm hoping that Longley can play, and with his ball-playing ability, really hurt the Bournemouth backline. And obviously Ryan Sessegnon, if he plays, will be a flying wing-back, and he'll definitely look to hurt Bournemouth at every opportunity, hopefully. In the midfield, I've gone for Lucas Moura and Billing. So Billing is obviously getting quite a few returns for Bournemouth this year, so I've gone for him. And Lucas Moura, hopefully if he plays, he can have a much better performance and really hurt that Bournemouth back line again. And then obviously I've got Kane as captain and Son as vice-captain up top.
And my team, I've got Hugo Lloris in goal. I've got Eric Dyer and Ryan Sessegnon as my back two. Obviously, Dyer, I think, is definitely going to start. And considering the chances he missed, maybe he'll get some chances against Bournemouth from set pieces and whatnot. Sessegnon, I think, is going to come in for Perisic, and obviously he's going to be a wing-back. In midfield, I've gone for Rodrigo Bentancur and Philip Billing. Obviously, Billing is a midfielder who makes tackles and interceptions and also plays a bit further forward, so he might have a chance of doing something. Bentancur has been brilliant recently, maybe has a chance of assist, but also does lots of defensive contributions. And up front, obviously, I've got Kane and I've got Heung-min Son, who else in the forward line. So that's my team. But just remember, all you have to do is download BetMate, click the join tab and type in WATTV, and it's an absolutely free pot and there's money to be won. So come take us on, join the pot, free to play, and win some money.
Absolutely, it's going to be.
See if you can beat us.
Big one this weekend.
Otherwise, the money's going to me or Ben. So come on.
Yeah,
there's something you have to do.
Yeah,
so don't join.
Most likely me. Most likely me.
No, me.
No, but that is it. The link for the app to download is in the description below. So all you have to do is click that link, sign up, and also if you want to sign up and get free £5 as well, you could use the promo code WATTV5. So you can actually gain money and even lose this weekend because you get free £5 when you sign up. So big up to all of you. Look forward to taking you all on BetMate this weekend, and let's move on.